When I tell people my parents were addicts, it's always funny because I know the first thing that comes to mind is, what was that like? Because I mean, it's interesting from the outside looking in, I'm sure. I just think it's funny how God didn't give me one parent that was on drugs. He was like, nah, both of them. Like he really think I'm one of his strongest soldiers and I need to be fighting all these battles. I don't know who told him that, but that person needs to be fired from being in heaven because they lied. But it's very interesting because for me, my mom and dad are two people who should not have done anything together in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's too late. I'm already here now, and so are my brothers and sisters. But I'm just saying it shouldn't have happened. That's all I'm saying. That's the best way to put that. But they're also very much the polar opposites when it came to their drug use. Like I stayed with my dad, and I barely knew my mom because they got divorced allegedly when I was like 2 or 3. So yeah, for me, I grew up with my dad. Kind of. We was like roommates. We lived in the same house. We didn't have the best relationship, but like we also didn't have the worst relationship. We didn't try to kill each other, but like I remember him coming to my room one day asking me when my birthday was when I was like 10 or 11, which I feel like by that point you would think he would know, but regardless, my parents were two of the most intelligent people you will ever meet in this world. I kid you not. These are two of the smartest individuals you will ever meet. They are also two of the most unhinged, psychotic people you would ever meet. The duality of both of my parents created a hell of a combination because, boy, let me tell you. So, chill out, Cat. I'm talking over here. So, my mom was what you would call self-aware. She knew she was on drugs and she was in no condition to properly be a mother or even be around her son. Well, she was around the other ones, but they was all grown by the time this happened. So I was the one who got the raw end of the deal. My dad was what you would call a functioning addict, meaning he would do his shit, but he could also go to work, keep a job, pay bills, have a roof over his head, all of that. He could live life to the point where you wouldn't know he was on drugs if you didn't know him personally. And probably even if you did, because I'm pretty sure he was good at covering stuff up. It was just weird because my dad would do a lot of shit that if you knew better, you'd be like, oh yeah, that man is clearly on drugs. The time he asked me when my birthday was, a big red flag right there. There was times where he started so many businesses. He had like a transportation business like 3 or 4 times that I remember. He just did so many things that had the behavior of somebody who was not fully focused on anything, like they were on some kind of drugs. He even got with my stepmom. And like my stepmom used to beat the shit out of me and my sister. And we would say something about it and he was like, hey man. So like I was saying, and it was like, yo, you didn't say anything. Like, what are you talking about? This is some real shit that's happening. I need you to do something about this. It's not ha funny. It's more like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, he just did shit like that where it was just weird behavior that wouldn't logically make sense on a good or bad side. Like, he's not doing the right thing. And he's not exactly doing the wrong thing of just being like, well, you should listen to he would do nothing. And it's like, are you hearing me? Are you deaf? Are you blind? It was just so much wild shit. It wasn't until I got like about to go to high school, so 13, 14, when one day woke up and was like, hey, we getting evicted. And it's like, he ain't been paying the rent for 3 months. It's like, yo, my man's, it's just me and you. I don't understand what the problem is. I don't require much money. I don't know where the money was going. He decided he didn't want to go to work anymore. It's just a lot of shit was happening that was just not consistent with regular human behavior, but also it wasn't like breaking in houses, stealing your mama TV kind of shit. It was very confusing. He went on to later become a drug trafficker, crossing state lines with pills and just, he a wild dude. All right. My mom was more of your typical drug user that you would expect, the person that you would expect to see on the street. She was that person, the one that you would see at the drug house. I didn't really meet my mom until I was like 18. I have faint memories of when I was a kid. I saw her like 2 or 3 times before I turned 18. There's one time my oldest brother was like, hey, I'm about to stop at my mom's house before we go back to one of our other sisters' house. And I was like, all right, cool. When we leave your mom's house, can we go to the store? He's like, hey, bro, that's your mom too. And I was like, oh, shit, for real? Because I don't even know this woman. I had to be like 9 or 10. Like, I don't even know this woman. But it was that kind of relationship where I couldn't even have told you what she looked like. When I turned 18, the day I turned 18, I went to her house and sat down and talked to her. And this was the most self-aware drug user I've ever seen. She's like, hey, I was on drugs. I was not in the right state of mind. I was in no condition to be a mother. It's too late to go back now. I apologize. It was just all very easy to take in versus the dude who was pretending like nothing was wrong the entire time. It's a very weird situation to be in. All of that said, there were benefits to this, to having 2 parents that are addicts. One of my biggest benefits was I was able to think freely because I didn't have parents feeding random bullshit into my head. Like, nobody was telling me about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. Nobody was putting random lies in my head. Like, I saw this stuff on TV and then I just let other kids rock. Like, that's clearly not true, but do your thing. I hope you have a great time with that. I didn't have to experience that. Like, I didn't get told BS stories. I didn't get told the wrong things about life because I didn't get told anything about life, which is also kind of a benefit. I was able to make my own opinions about stuff as I went through life. Also, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's kind of where that ends. There were no other benefits outside of that, but that was a big one. But yeah, it was kind of, looking back as a kid, you don't know that you're not safe and you are in danger. But in reality, I was not safe at any point and I was constantly in danger because the level of thinking in a drug user's head literally does not go anywhere that makes sense unless it's about getting drugs. Everything else is just fucking psychotic and just dumb. So yeah, moral of the story, my parents smoked crack and many other things. It was not a great time. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. I love telling these stories because it's just, I like telling stories, but also I tell people stories and they start laughing and then they're like, I feel terrible. Don't tell me anything else. And then they go call their parents and tell them how much they love them. So I'm like, I'm spreading positivity somehow. Call your mama and tell her you love her. Call your dad if you know who he is and you got his number and tell him to cash out me $20. Peace.